Gear up, because this is the Fuel Your Marketing podcast, designed to accelerate sales and grow your business. Let's welcome your host, Arti Sharma.
Search engine optimization for manufacturing companies. That's the topic for today's episode. And I'm your host, Arti Sharma. Hello and welcome once again to this another episode of the Fuel Your Marketing podcast. I have a very interesting topic today to cover, and that's really, really close to my heart. This is something that has evolved immensely over the last decade. So without any further ado, I want to talk about search engine optimization and the value it brings to the manufacturing and industrial manufacturing organizations. Most manufacturing companies have historically not seen enough value in SEO, especially if your firm has a dealer network. But let me say this, we have several examples of companies who didn't see enough value to seeing measurable results. And that is what my company at Measure Marketing does. Anyways, don't want to be bragging my own company. In this dominant world of the internet, it is no longer optional. Let's get to this. I'll say it again. In this dominant world of the internet, search engine optimization is no longer optional. If you want to stay relevant, you clearly need to have budgets allocated to organic search, or we can call it search engine optimization plan, and adopt it at your earliest. We're addressing the needs of manufacturing and industrial manufacturing companies. You'll increase your visibility among engineers, operations executives, and other decision makers. And besides that, if you have a manufacturing company that's seasonal, then you will be winning by having a 24/7 year-round presence. Now, that's a no-brainer to invest in organic search, either for branding purposes, lead generation purposes, or even assisting that long sales cycle. And where do you get started? We always talk about relevant content for industrial buyers, which assists you in getting found online, keeping them interested in your site, boosting your chances of turning them to a sale. Of course, content is important. Site usability is important. Keywords and backlinking is important. Page authority is very important. And all of these are the criteria that search engine optimization really engages and encompasses. So Google, Bing, and other search engines are looking for all of these factors to be in place, following their guidelines while they're scanning your website to provide that relevant user experience to their end audience, which is your customers. So what does this really mean to you, and how could you become more successful in employing all of these marketing components? I'm not going to go into the greater detail of content. Please watch out for that episode, but definitely effective content marketing includes not just blog posts, it includes ebooks, site material, corporate information, and all of these could include relevant information about your product and services. Now, for example, if you're running a jetting and spray jetters and nozzle companies, you probably want to write about, is hydrojetting messy? Or how many PSI is a jetter, right? Those kind of questions can be answered. So definitely intent and what is it that your users are looking for. Just wanted to kind of give you some examples. Again, custom injection molding for medical supplies or metal stamping. What is metal stamping? Those kind of questions would come up, and you definitely want to serve those answers through relevant content. Again, we've talked about usability and backlinks, but the bigger question is, when I talked about that most manufacturing companies have not seen success, whereas when we work with them, we go towards quantifiable, measurable results, and that is where we thrive. My big question to you as a listener, if you are a leader in a manufacturing organization, is, do you have this question that comes up in your mind, that is search engine optimization still relevant for me? Of course, you're right in your own ways to ask that question, mull over that question, because manufacturing was such a big roller coaster throughout the last decade, and especially the last decade, I would say. More and more industrial enterprises were coming up, and direct mailing, word of mouth referrals, and directories all helped in bringing in new clients. So it's a kind of a shift in thinking. And then, and as the time evolved, fast changes were being brought to the industry. And the big green books were out of the window in no time, and more people were embracing digital technologies. Then they were not finding the value, or they were not feeling that success, because either they did not know what to do and how to do it, or they were with the wrong kind of organizations who were not able to help them to some degree. So is there a place for search engine optimization in the manufacturing world today? I would say a resounding yes. How do you do it is very important. So if you want to really improve your B2B digital advertising and marketing results, I will tell you, you need to first of all, believe that it is going to be a game changer for you, only because there's a new generation of B2B buyers that has entered the workforce already. There's an acceleration on how the internet is being used. The millennial population, which is roughly in the age of 20 to 36, is now making decisions in those purchasing roles, and they're relying on the internet. They're in engineering. Specifically, they're relying on search engines to find the data that is needed to make more knowledgeable specification purchase decision. And 73% of them, approximately, I read somewhere, are using the internet and basing their decisions based on the websites as a critical factor in, submitting those RFIs. So if you are one of those companies who is trying to attract this new generation of engineers to specify your products in their next RFI, then, you need to start working on your search engine optimization plan. And where do you start? The number one is to define your target audience, select the right keywords. And how do you do that? Keywords are the words or phrases that really allow your visitors to find your website and for Google and other search engines to show up your website when that search is being made. So definitely building that buyer profile is so important, because now you know their motivation, their intention, and their pain points. So you can really build those key phrases, what they would be searching for, into your website.
This podcast is being brought to you by Measure Marketing, an inbound marketing agency and a HubSpot partner. To book a free consultation, visit measuremarketing.com.
So you may monitor that, what is being discussed online and what is being talked about online about search engine optimization is about the short tail keywords, long tail keywords, but then there's now intent-based keywords as well. So where do you start, and what kind of a keyword strategy should you form? Obviously, you want to build a keyword strategy where there's high search volume, and obviously the high search volume will bring higher competition. But the other issue with short tail keywords is that it's difficult to determine the user intent. For instance, a search for industrial equipment may be motivated by a whole lot of factors, such as, maintenance of industrial machinery, or buying industrial machinery, or utilizing industrial machinery, or what kind of industrial equipment is it, right? So it's really important to consider what is the ideal customer profile. And if you do not define that first and go straight up in defining high volume search keywords, you may end up risking the targeted phrases that your ideal customers are looking for, and you have missed out on optimizing your website or your web presence for that. So you may monitor what is being discussed, superficially, what Google's giving you that information to say these are high search volume keywords, but you really need to take a step back and build your buyer profile, understand their desires, their requirements, and reasons for making that search, and then choose the keywords. The searcher intent, as I always say, is the most overlooked ranking factor, and you should be optimizing for that. Now, if you look at, search intent, how do you define that search intent, right? It's such an important aspect of it. So before we go there, what is search intent? Search intent is the why behind that search query, right? Why did that person sitting behind their computer made that search query in the first place? Do they want to learn something? Do they really want to purchase? Do they want to kind of just look for few competition and educate themselves? So I think it's really important to understand what was the intent and was the why behind that particular search query. And why does this really matter is because Google's aim is to provide users with the most relevant result. And if you are showing up for a non-relevant result, obviously those people who found you in the first place will come to your site and bounce back. Higher bounce rate tells Google a signal that your site is not relevant to this kind of an audience, so you might end up missing out on a whole lot of traffic, because now it's going to take you longer to rank on your search engine results, right? So you only don't have to look at what the keyword search volume is, and higher the volume doesn't necessarily mean that you go after those keywords, or what is the search intent. And as an SEO company, that's what we coach our customers on, and you must definitely look at that. The best way to get started is to ask a new potential customer and say, hey, do you recall what did you search for to find us in the first place? So let's get a little bit deeper into the subject of keyword research. I know that we have a whole lot of ground to cover in this podcast, but there's 4 types of search intents. Information, when people are looking for information about your product or services. Navigational, they already know what they want, where they want to go, so they probably will come in and, just, for example, somebody wants to go to Facebook, they know where they want to go, and, Twitter, I don't even know I want to talk about or not. But anyways, transactional, you really want to see the search is looking to make a purchase, or if they're in the buying mode, they most likely will say buy so-and-so, or look for pricing for a particular product or service. And then there's a commercial investigation, which most searchers, and that might be their intent and their motivation, which could be, they're in market for a specific product or service, but they still have to kind of make a decision. They have not made a final decision on which solution is right for them. For example, they could be looking for Salesforce or HubSpot or Best Jetter or Best Nozzle or some of that sorts, right? So how to create that searcher intent kind of tie in with what keywords should you focus on? It should be, for informational, it'll be how, what, who, where. Those are the answers that people are asking. For navigation, it'll be brand names or name of a particular product or a service. For commercial investigation, they'll be looking for reviews, comparisons, best products, etc. And for transactional, more buy, offer, order, purchase, pricing, those kind of keywords. So this is very important, but I'm not suggesting that you should only focus on low competition keywords. All I'm saying is try and create your keyword strategy, which is encompassing long tail questions people are searching for, intent, and then also look at short tail and kind of create your own list of what would make a good mix for your particular business. Now, again, the third step in this process is once you've kind of, created your ideal customer profile, you've done the keyword research, you want to make sure that you have your technical house in order, right? Before you consider what people are looking for, make sure your website's easy to find. It could be trusted by both users and search engines. One of the things that I don't see many companies do is they don't have SSL certificate. Now, SSL certificate is not just for e-commerce companies. It should be definitely considered because that establishes trust, and sometimes Google might spit out and say your network is not safe to visit the site. So you don't want your visitors getting kind of a block experience by not even getting on your website. Again, page speed is critical, especially when everything is so instant and we want instant gratification, and the new generation of engineers are looking for your products and services, or the operations folks. So you want to make sure that page speed is taken care of. And again, there's lots of other technical aspects to look at. User experience, you have the right plugins, you keep your platforms updated, whatever kind of content management system you're using. Please make sure that that's relevant, that's easy to update, and it's also staying, technically sound. So there's no 404 pages, there's no broken links on your website. And then the next stage when you come to search engine optimization for your manufacturing business would be, do you really want to serve local companies, national or global, right? If you have a large dealer network nationally, then the approach would be different. But if you're a manufacturer for kind of going into the local market, then your market's going to be different, and it'll dictate some different keyword strategy per se, different kind of content strategy. How will Google My Business play a role in there? Not to say that Google My Business doesn't play a role in global or national strategies. It's just that it's more local per se. So a local approach is advised if you work for a manufacturing facility that can only deliver items to a specific location or has some predefined boundaries. Whereas in a national, as I said, you could be working with a manufacturing dealer network, right? Or you are a large industrial enterprise that may distribute products statewide through maybe various locations, and you want to target a bigger audience group. So that dictates a different strategy. But one thing that stays constant is your approaches to the intent searches and how do you optimize your metadata, which is the fifth step in this overall process. So what is metadata, right? Metadata is a code that contains a web page's description. It has a header. It aims to kind of search engines understand that language, and it aims to explain to the search engine robots what is this page all about. So Google's always trying to direct its user to the most relevant pages, as I said, because their big goal is creating that user experience. So as specific as you can get on your metadata is very important. So determine if your website has the information that they're looking for. How does keywords play a role in that description, and that metadata is also very important. So again, more and more people are trying to compete for the top 3 positions, and the best metadata, best speed, best keyword strategy, best content. All of these factors are considered when Google's giving that vote of confidence and showing you on page 1 top 3 results. Again, the next part of that metadata is the title. So appropriate title should be taken into account when you're, building your page, because Google definitely takes account of that. Your meta title really will show up at the top of your search engine listing, which is like the blue bar that shows like the blue text that shows on a search results page along with that description. And the description is basically the meta description, which is meant to provide a short summary of that web page, right? And when people read that, it actually garners that click. So many times I've seen that people would consider the click-through rate on their paid advertising, but they forget what is the click-through rate of our search result. Sometimes you may be showing up on page one, but not many people are connecting or clicking on that. So it's definitely important to look at your click-through rate or impressions of your search, organic search listing as well. There's more to metadata, meta title, and meta description. You can definitely find that on one of our blogs where we've talked about search engine optimization, deep dives. So again, description of meta title and metadata is very important to tell your search engines what this page or this website is all about, and keeping it fresh, keeping it current requires somebody to monitor your rankings, somebody to monitor what your competition is doing, and what is your data telling you? How are people actually engaging with that listing and that page then eventually, and finding it relevant. If you have a great engagement rate on that page, that means, and the great click-through rate, that means you've done really well. Don't touch it. And if it's ranking higher, absolutely don't touch it, but just monitor it. And then if it's not performing as well, or you're stuck at the second page, 15th position, but you really want to push it out, work on it, and then look at it how you could possibly change your meta title, meta description based on what your competition is doing, what's the intent, and then go from there. Again, it's very important to have a quantifiable success for your search engine optimization campaign. And like any other marketing plan, it is incomplete if you do not have a measurable ROI process or a measurable process for your search engine optimization campaign. So definitely set some KPIs with your team, internally or externally, whatever the case may be. Some leading metrics could be traffic growth, bounce rate reduction, link authority, authority for your website to increase, and backlinks to increase, and good quality backlinks, how many referring domains, etc. But again, it's really critical to know how many blog posts are you going to write, where are these blog posts or this content pieces showing up. Again, these variables are really important to see. What are the lagging indicators, which is the number of leads that you've generated at the end of it, right? And Google Analytics has this capability. And also as a HubSpot partner, we know that content measurement and SEO measurement can also be done through HubSpot. So I highly recommend, if you're a HubSpot user, to kind of arrange this in your console. Cleanup of your 404 pages. 404 error appears when people attempt to browse a page on your website and that does not exist. Maybe you've redesigned your website, but you've started to kind of, not route all your pages to the new pages. So if you delete pages or any kind of products from your website or product pages from your website or goods from your website, your users may see the 404 errors. So it's definitely worth exploring that. There is an audit that is done regularly, periodically, to see what kind of 404 pages Google has crawled. If Google crawls a large number of your 404 pages, it means your website isn't working properly, and which is definitely going to affect your search engine results. So creating that 301 redirect is the best way to deal with it. It's a technical term and technical way of doing it, so I'm going to leave it at that, but definitely speak to your folks and make sure that you are ready to get that lion's share of the search engine optimization, or search engines, I would say, and have a solid plan for search engine optimization for your organization, and do not discount it, because if it doesn't work, doesn't mean that it won't work. It just means that it requires evolution and a strong approach to looking at your numbers, looking at your data, and again, include these 3 definite strategies and components for your SEO strategy. Ranking, how many pages are getting indexed, crawled, backlinks growth, quality content, what sets your website apart from the rest, and measure, integrate your SEO strategy to the sales side of things and say, what is the impact search engine optimization is having on my sales qualified leads, and eventually turning them into revenue. So with that said, I will end here. But if you have any questions around search engine optimization, feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn and DM my team. We'll be happy to get on a call and help you out answering those questions. Other than that, keep experimenting with search engine optimization. Don't give up. It's a great way to build a long-term play and increase your visibility, your brand, and your growth in the business. So until next time, stay blessed, and I'll see you soon.
Thank you for listening to the Fuel Your Marketing podcast. For more episodes, visit www.fuelyourmarketing.com.